Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week, brought to you by LaValle Building Supply. I'm Mike Pizzone, joined by Jeremy Stout. And Jeremy, that kick is flirting with the sidelines, but it's going to remain inbounds. Nix is going to pick it up, and he's got room on the sideline. One defender to beat, the kicker. And the Bow kicker, that's number 4, Matt Kimball, does a good job bringing down Nix, preventing him from a touchdown on the opening kickoff. That would have been some way to start the second half for the Tigers.
Yeah, that could have been devastating for this Bow Falcons squad coming out of the locker room and immediately giving that up, but instead they'll have to earn it. Newport will on their first offensive possession, but still across the 50, as you mentioned, a good return.
Absolutely. So recapping the first half scoring plays, it was C.J. Lawrence who got things started with the 21-yard touchdown run to make it 6-0, and then a beautiful 51-yard pass from McNamara to Nix gives the Tigers the lead again at 12-7. Followed by an even more beautiful touchdown pass from McNamara to Nix, made the score 20-7, and then we closed out the first half with a nice touchdown run by Noah Wade, and now the Tigers lead at 27-7. So a lot of different variety of scoring options here for the Tigers today.
That's what we've talked about all broadcast, where this Newport team really is versatile. They can mix it up, and we've seen that so far. And this Falcons squad looked like when they were getting ready to stop the Tigers, they were able to, on a couple rushing plays, made the Tigers punt, and then Tigers get the ball back, and that beautiful pass from McNamara.
So McNamara hands it off to Lawrence, facing a second down and short. It looks like Lawrence is going to have enough for the first down. So first drive of the second half for the Tigers, already moving the chains, keeping that clock going. And that's going to set up a first down and 10 from the Newport 37-yard line. So keeping that clock winding.
And a good defensive tackle by the defensive line of the Falcons, but as you mentioned, not enough to prevent the first down. We saw that in the first half, where this Falcons defensive line would penetrate the offensive line of the Tigers and stop Lawrence and Wade in the backfield a few times, but they have so many talents on this team offensively that they can switch it up, and McNamara to Nix happened for a couple times.
McNamara takes a snap, hands it off to Lawrence inside. Lawrence is going to get probably 4 or 5 on that first down carry, so another good chunk of yards on first down. Just a reminder to stay tuned toward the end of our broadcast for the H.R. Clough Kearsarge Heating Oil Turning Up the Heat play of the game. We'll pick the most important play from today's action. And Jeremy, a lot of candidates so far, with obviously already 4 touchdowns for the Tigers. So a lot of good candidates for that play of the game.
Lots going on in the first half, and even when Bow did have the ball, they moved it nicely a couple drives. So we'll see if they can try and put something in the end zone in this second half. Lawrence coming off the field, his helmet fell off, so he came off. He'll be off on this play.
McNamara takes a snap. Looked like he was going to drop back to throw, but keeps it himself, and that's going to be plenty for a first down. So McNamara showing that he himself is a viable running option himself.
Well, we haven't seen that yet today as he drops back. Looked like it might be an option or a pitch or some type of wildcat. He cuts back up the middle, and he gains a nice chunk of yardage and brings up another first down for the Tigers.
Seeing some smiles from the coaching staff on the Newport sideline. Not sure if that's the play they drew up or if McNamara was just kind of
ad-libbing there.
Yeah. So you can judge for yourself what those smiles mean, as Newport set up with a 1st and 10 from the 17-yard line. McNamara under center. He's got Lawrence and Wade in the backfield. Takes a snap, pitches it to Wade. Wade around the outside, has some running room, and he's going to get over that goal line into the end zone for his second touchdown of the game. And Newport, adding insult to injury, now leads this one 33-7 with 9:30 remaining, pending the extra point. So Wade with his second touchdown of the game, 7th of the postseason.
And the quest to get to 30 touchdowns on the season continues, as he is now 2 shy of that number.
Speaking of shy, we talked about it during the broadcast a lot last week. He's a very quiet kid, but so loud on the football field. As that kick is a little low, but it's still going to be good, so a nice job as Sharon converts that extra point, and the Newport Tigers lead this one 34-7 with 9:30 remaining in the third quarter. So with that, we'll take a quick break from our YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week, brought to you by LaValle Building Supply. I'm Mike Pizzone, joined by Jeremy Stout, and it's the Tigers who lead this one 34-7 after Noah Wade's second touchdown of the game and 6th of the postseason, as a flag comes down on this kickoff return. So we'll see what the call is, but regardless, Jeremy, a big drive for the Falcons here, coming out with their first possession of the second half. I mean, their backs are obviously to the wall with this deficit. Need to stop the bleeding a little bit, or at least keep their defense off the field with a nice long sustained drive here.
Yeah, the Falcons need to get something going. They looked like in the early going they were going to be okay, moving the chains on their first drive, although it ended in a punt, but then trading touchdowns with this Tigers squad. Looked like they said, hey, we're here and we're going to hang with this team. But then the fumble on special teams set up the touchdown for the Tigers, plus the beautiful pass from McNamara to Nix, giving the Tigers another score, really has deflated this Falcons team, and then they couldn't get anything going before the half, getting the ball back with about 30 seconds to go. Weren't able to get anything going, and then giving up that touchdown there to start this half. Really, this team needs to pick it up and needs to get something going, just like they did on that first drive at the beginning of the game. So we'll see what happens here.
So that pitch goes to Corvu, who's the one who got the Falcons their lone touchdown of the game, but a good job by the Newport defense with Wade actually in on that tackle. As both player does remain down on the field, looks like he's going to need some medical attention. So they're going to bring the trainers onto the field, and with that we'll take a quick break from our YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week, brought to you by LaValle Building Supply. And after that Falcons injury, Bo is now set up with a 2nd down and 6 from about the 24-yard line. As that run goes to Justin Mooney, but a good job once again by the Newport defense to stop him well behind the line of scrimmage. And that's going to set up a 3rd down and 11. So, Jeremy, we talked about the Falcons needing to at least sustain a little bit of a drive here, keep their defense off the field, but already facing a 3rd down and 11.
Not what you want on those first 2 plays, an injury and then a big defensive stop by the Tigers. If you're the Falcons, you need a 1st down here, and this is getting out of hand in a hurry.
So now Harkin, number 7 for the Falcons in the shotgun. We haven't seen too much of that today. Takes the snap, looking to throw, lets one fly, and well over the head of his intended receiver, actually landing in the track. So I'm not sure if he was just throwing that ball away or had a little too much muscle on it, or we'll blame the wind because it's a windy day here, Jeremy.
Looked like a little miscommunication on the sideline. The receiver kind of had pulled up when the ball was in the air, so I think they were not on the same page.
So critical. I'm throwing the guy a bone, blaming the wind, and you're going to just credit it to miscommunication?
Well, back at the beginning of the year of our first YCN game, I was a rough on the play calling of Hanover, so we're going to round the year out here.
You did feel bad about that one, as I recall. Is the Falcons set to punt here? Nice kick. Looks like it has a potential for a nice Falcons bounce, but that's going to roll out of bounds. Still rolling, mind you. But that's going to give the Tigers pretty good field position once again. So we'll take a quick break from our YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week, brought to you by LaValle Building Supply. I'm Mike Pizzone, joined by Jeremy Stout. And Jeremy, the Tigers set up once again with great field position as this pitch goes to Nix. Nix around the outside, over the 25, over the 10, and he's into the end zone for his 3rd touchdown of the game. Jeremy, if I told you Steven Nix was going to have 3 touchdowns today, I don't know if you'd believe me.
I definitely would not have believed you. He had the 51-yard pass earlier, and then the 16-yard pass, and now it's a 45-yard touchdown run. So over 100 all-purpose yards just on scoring plays for Nix.
Like you said, 2 touchdown receptions and now a touchdown run for Nix. Doing it all. So the Tigers now lead this one 40-7 with 8:03 remaining in the 3rd quarter. That's pending the extra point from Sharon. So the snap is down, the kick is up, and that's going to be blocked by the Falcons. Another low kick from Sharon, so that's no good. But the Tigers still lead this one 40-7 after a beautiful run by Steven Nix. So great job by the Tigers here, and the Falcons once again have their backs to the wall. So we'll take a quick break from our YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week, brought to you by LaValle Building Supply. I'm Mike Pizzone, joined by Jeremy Stout, and Sharon once again kicking it off. He's got to do that quite a few times today, with Newport continuing to pour it on. And the Falcons are going to be brought down at about the 30-31 yard line, so they're going to have a long field ahead of them once again to try to, like we've said a lot today, stop the bleeding and sustain a nice long drive.
One thing on that kickoff I don't really understand, it's going through the middle of, it went past at least 3 players on the kick return team for Bo, and I know they're not really supposed to touch the ball, and they don't really want to return it, but gosh, you could get this ball at the 40-yard line and just fall on it, and instead of letting it go all the way down to the 30 or 25 and then getting tackled. So I know it's a small point in nitpicking here in a game that's 34-point lead or whatever it may be. So
no, I think it's a good point. It's just it's probably a matter of a lot of tentative players not sure that they want to be the one to touch that ball, and we've actually seen a couple fumbles on these kickoff returns. So I'm sure some people maybe leave the return to those skill positions. As you see a run there by number 25, Christopher Robbins on first down. And a nice game by the Falcons on first down. That's going to set up a 2nd down and 2, it looks like.
And what we talked about at the beginning of the game, where if Bo does get down early, they've got to stick with their game plan and keep running the ball and not try and pass it and get crazy. And that's what they've done so far. The last 2 drives they've tried to run it, unfortunately have not had much success. But keeping it on the ground and trying to stick with what got them here all season.
So we saw it last week. We had the 35-point advantage for Newport in the 3rd quarter, which led to running time. This one, we're facing a 33-point lead for the Tigers, so no running time just yet. But again, these teams do love to run the ball, so with that, the clock does spend a lot of time running anyway.
Right, yeah, you're not going to get as much of a difference as you would if they were passing it or if it was, a lot going back and forth.
So the Falcons set up with a 1st down and 10 from the 45-yard line. Harkins under center. Hands it off to Justin Mooney. Mooney tries to get to the outside. And then once again, a nice gain on 1st down, getting to near midfield. I think they're going to mark him right on the 50-yard line. So 2 decent runs on 1st down for the Falcons.
Give credit to Bo trying to keep the ball on the ground, move the chains. And although they are down 33 points, not getting crazy, not giving up, just try and put something in the end zone and go back and play defense. That's all you can do, get it back one at a time.
Have you seen our new and improved website, ycnnow.com? Tune in whenever you want on your smartphone or computer for individual YCN news stories, chronicle segments, capital connections, and our game of the week. All from YCN, your local view. So another good run by Mooney, it looks like, and that's going to be a little short of the 1st down. Set up a 3rd down and 1 at about the 46-yard line. So the Falcons sticking with their game plan. We knew it coming in. They're going to be a team that loves to run the ball. I think we've only seen 1 passing attempt maybe all day from the Falcons. But sticking to it with their backs obviously to the wall here.
They're going to need a lot of scores here, but at least they're sticking to their game plan and trying to get it back the way they know they can.
So the snap, and met immediately by Jake Dow. Immediately, and no sooner did the Falcons runner get the ball than Dow laid that hit on him, stops 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So that's going to set up a 4th down and 3. And Jeremy, now the question becomes, obviously you're in Newport's half of the field, but with this deficit, I imagine you can't punt it. You got to keep going for it here, right?
You got to go for it. You got to give it to one of your backs and see if they can break something and get this 1st down.
And that's exactly what they're going to do as Harkin lined up under center. Hands it off to number 25, Christopher Robbins. It's going to be close. There's a pile right on that 45-yard line, and that's where the 1st down marker's set up. So it's going to depend on that spot, but looks like they're going to give it to him. So a nice 1st down by the Falcons. Keep their defense off the field.
Good second effort there. Looked like he may have been dragged down before the 1st down marker, but pushing forward, and he does just get to the 45 and pick up the 1st down.
So our YCN Game of the Week premieres every week on YCN, your local view. Our next game will be a replay of the matchup between the Kearsarge girls soccer team and visiting Fall Mountain, which actually ended up being a preview of the Division III first-round game between the 2 teams. So kind of cool that we saw a game of the week that ended up being a replay of a playoff matchup. So that'll definitely be one to check out next Wednesday at 7:30. So once again, a good run by the Falcons on 1st down. Pick up about 5 yards. The ball's on the 40. It's going to set up a 2nd down and 5. So they kind of shied away from these obviously not on purpose, but weren't able to string together these first downs there late in the first half, but doing a good job on this possession.
Yeah, keeping the effort, that's what they want. This team, there's no quit in this team, even though down by quite a bit. They're still trying out here and giving it their all.
Harkins had a man, that was number 2, Adam Nelson, who had nobody behind him. If he had caught that ball, that would have been an easy touchdown, but the throw a little bit out of his grasp, and it's going to fall incomplete for a third down.
Coach Cohen deciding, hey, we might need 4 downs to pick it up here. Let's try and go to the air on second down. And you got to imagine that here, third, and then if possible, fourth down if needed, it'll be 2 run plays.
And you talked about their fight and this team continuing to show up here and continuing to ground and pound the ball. But this, like we said earlier, this is a young Falcons team that, it would be no surprise to see this team in a similar situation next year. As the carry goes to Justin Mooney, who stopped short of the first down, but good little gain, set up a 4th down and 3, it looks like. So still, a lot to play for the Falcons, knowing that a lot of this team is going to return next year.
Right, and also a young team, they haven't been in this situation. They've won all but one game, and the one game they lost, it was only by 10 or 11 points. I don't believe it was by more than 2 touchdowns to the Winnisquam team, who is the number one seed. So this team has not been in this position before, but like you said, they're going to be here next year. There are a lot of them back, and it's good to show some resilience.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the stat I saw was they gave up 66 points during the regular season, with half of those points coming in a 33. Well, half of those points coming in a loss to Winnisquam. That's right, 33-21. So again, giving up 66 points, but half of those came against a loss to Winnisquam, who's playing in a semifinal right now.
Right, and then they've already given up 40 points today to this Newport team, who is scoring over 40 points, right on their season average. So this is kind of unfamiliar territory for this Bo Falcons squad.
Well, the Tigers are going to set up with a 1st and 10 from the 37-yard line after the Falcons turn the ball over on downs. And we are now inside 3 minutes remaining here in the third quarter. McNamara takes a snap, hands it off to Lawrence. Lawrence up the middle and just continues to move that pile of Bo defenders. I mean, he was met at the line of scrimmage, but just pushes that pile and ends up getting a gain of 7 yards on the play. So good job by Lawrence keeping his feet moving. And now the Tigers facing a 2nd down and 3.
And this is where, if you're the Bo defense, you really got to dig down. You're back on the field. Newport has really run up and down the field on him all day, and this is where they got to dig down, got to come up with a stop late in this. Maybe it doesn't matter for the score or for the end result, but for the confidence.
Absolutely, as McNamara pitches this one to Wade in the backfield. Wade breaks one tackle, breaks another tackle up across midfield, and he's going to have the 1st down and much more as he's helped up by the Bo defender. So good sportsmanship by the Falcons, even facing this deficit. But these teams have a lot of respect for each other. So the chains once again moving. Newport, another 1st down, as the clock sits at 2 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the third quarter, with the Tigers up 40-7 here in the Division III semifinals, looking to earn a 2nd straight trip to UNH for a shot at a championship.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the 2nd straight trip. Both these teams are familiar with the playoffs, being on both sides, winning and losing, as Newport winning last year's semifinal game, going to UNH to face Campbell, and then losing. Previous year, Bo, winning in the finals, as we mentioned earlier, beating Stevens, and last year losing to Campbell. So both these teams are familiar with the playoffs. They've been on both sides. Obviously, it's much more fun to be on the winning side, but they know what it's like to be on the losing end.
And we talked with Coach McElreevy after his team's quarterfinal win over Somersworth last week, and he's kind of talked about that motivation with this team of, he said they don't really talk about it much getting back to the championship, but he knows it's on the back of his players' minds. And I also would tell you that I'm sure those players, deep down, they want another shot at that championship, because last year, I believe, Tommy Hogan, the starting quarterback, he was injured early in the first quarter, didn't see much action from that point forward, and I think the Tigers feel like they just didn't give their best effort in last year's championship loss to Campbell, so I know they'd be really excited to get back there this year and kind of leave it all on the field this time around.
And Hogan was such a big part of that team. When he went down with the injury, they really were, I don't want to say they were lost, but they were kind of lost. You know, they hadn't lost the game, but they were kind of lost in direction what to do. They only scored 6 points in that game. So now, you know, they really want that second chance. And I think that also has been the reason why this team has become so balanced. I think Coach McElreavy has realized we can't have a one-horse, you know, game. We've got to have guys like Nix and McNamara to support C.J. Lawrence and Noah Wade.
It's true, and to your point, you know, Newport was a very similar team last year that loved running the ball. They didn't throw the ball too much, but Hogan just had that presence. I mean, he really was a field general on that field. You know, he would milk that play clock until the last, 2-3 seconds on the play clock. He was a real field general for those Tigers, so I think you hit that right on the head. When he did go down with that injury, sure, maybe it didn't take away so much from their game plan, but it definitely took away from their confidence and just kind of overall, presence on the field. So,
yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, he did get involved in the running game more than I think McNamara does. He was, maybe it wasn't that option, so to speak, but he did have a little bit more presence, so it took off some of the statistics, but more the confidence in the field general, as you mentioned.
Yep. But McNamara, what can we say about him this year? He's done a great job, and we'll talk about that more after the break, because the third quarter is over, and it's the Newport Tigers who lead this one 40-7. So stay tuned for fourth quarter action when we come back from our YCN Game of the Week.